Good evening, this is Scott Reese with NDPA Storm Chasers, and I'm going to show you guys a little look into these two storms that we're looking at. I wanted to get on here and show you guys this video tonight before the new model comes in so you guys can get a feel for what's going on, and then once the new model comes in, I'll be able to give you guys a little more insight into that as well. So right now we'll start with the GFS model. This is compliments of Tropical Tidbits. Thank you. This is a great site. If you guys never use it, it's good. They have some good models here to use. This first storm here is a Great Lakes cutter. It's going to cut into Lake Huron, miss us, maybe a passing shower. And this low starts kicking on out of here. Now you'll notice the second storm coming up from the Gulf, the GFS model is not enthusiastic at all. It has it passing to the south, not even a shower, and moving out to sea. This high right here becomes very important because this is going to be a big player one way or the other in this upcoming storm. Now the model does lose it here for a second, but it comes back and it moves into the area. Now watch, it's going to camp out in place here, and it's going to set the stage for the cold air needed to make this storm what it's apparently going to be. We'll see what happens. The storm is getting itself together now, as you can see, and a coastal low forms off the coast of Virginia. So keep an eye where this low is centered on this model based on the European. Snow starts to spread in from south to north. The area gets completely overtaken by snow. It looks like snow everywhere, probably north of Philadelphia, maybe even a little farther south than that, getting into the action here. But the storm is progressive and it moves offshore. The high is unable to keep it locked in, and it's there and gone. The GFS model is hinting at somewhere in the 4 to 8 range, maybe 5 to 10, but the storm will be out to sea and then we're done with that. Now the European model tells quite a different story, so we're going to backtrack the European model here and take a look at what it shows. So the European model has the same idea with this first storm, Great Lakes cutter, this one into Lake Michigan, then Lake Huron. Kind of winds it up pretty nicely there. Some lake effect snow going on, but that's out of there. And then the second storm coming up out of the Gulf, it's in Louisiana here, a little bit different origin than on the GFS, farther west. And as you can see, different result because the storm's farther west. Now it's northern South Carolina. Snips the area. You might see a 2 to 4 type event out of this for a good majority of our area, maybe 1 to 3 up north. And then it's out of here. However, that storm may be what sets the groundwork for the next storm. They say trend is your friend, at least that's a Joe Chaffee quote, but what does tend to happen in weather is when you have a storm exit a certain way, the pattern doesn't change a whole lot for a while, and the next storm can often follow that same pattern. Now, as you can see just off of the screen here, this low is getting real wound up here, real tight isobars here. This is going to become a 50-50 low, eventually out to sea, but that's going to help with this high moving in here. Now you have a tight pressure gradient. The high can't move out. The high has to settle in just north of the New York border, and this storm begins to get its act together down south, coming straight out of the Gulf, and really starts to energize here as it comes up the coast. You can already see this is a nasty looking storm at this time, and then it reaches the coast. Now here's the curious part. Both models seem somewhat in agreement up to this point. They have the low centered in different areas, but getting to the coast, and then the GFS has it just kind of going off to sea. But the European model is going to do something really interesting. It's going to tuck the storm into the coast here. And this is where these big crazy numbers that you're hearing from are coming from. Because if this checks out, and the storm does tuck in and wrap around like it is here, you're going to see some very heavy snow in the interior. I mean, you'll get every bit of that snow that they're calling for if this verifies. and then the storm moves off and out. High pressure locks in the cold. The high pressure is finally able to lift up and out. Now here's the thing. One of these models is telling the truth and one of these models is wrong, and the actual solution might lie somewhere in the middle. But let's take a look at what the models are telling us. So we'll start with the European model here. It's not the PowerPoint that I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. We'll start with the GFS instead. The GFS model, at least from what I can see, is telling us that yes, the blocking is in place here. It's funneling in the cold air, but this high is not going to be strong enough. It's a 1035 high. It's a fairly strong high, but the GFS model is showing a progressive storm that's just going to move on, get out to sea, and not wind up, not get wrapped up. And even though there's a tight pressure gradient here, you can see by the isobars, it stretches the low out quite a bit, and it's a bit weaker in that regard. The center of the low way offshore at this point, and then it winds up moving out. So that's what the Euro, or that's what the GFS thinks that's going to happen. But the Euro, from what I'm reading on the Euro here, this high pressure, same strength, 1034, basically the same strength here, this is going to create a block. And the Euro sees that, and it reacts to the block by tilting the axis negative. What that means is the storm is going to wrap up and flip onto its side, essentially. When a low pressure system gets to the coast and really gets cranking, it tilts negatively being off to this angle here, and it's able to wind up and really get wrapped and tight and really tuck into the coast like this is. Now, which one of these models is correct? I don't know. I would lean more towards the European model, not because it shows more snow or because this is what I want to happen, because this is accounting for the block, and this actually makes more sense as a solution to me. I don't see why the GFS pushing the system right out to sea makes a whole lot of sense with the blocking in place, with the 50-50 low that's going to be out here. It's not making sense to me at this moment. So the new models should be out within the next hour, and once I get those, I will give you an update. But this is how it is as I currently see it. So one way or the other, we're looking to see if the GFS moves more to the north and caves to the Euro, possibly wrapping the storm up tighter and making a stronger low closer to the shore. Or we're going to see the opposite happen, and we're going to see the Euro caving to the GFS, moving it more offshore, less tight, no negative tilt, more progressive. So whenever we figure this out or get a little more information, we will release it to you. This is Scott Reese, NDPA Storm Chasers. Thank you.